Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is one that I'm really excited to film for you guys because today we are going to be using all of my yearly favorites in one makeup look. So I'm so excited to film this video because I've got all of my yearly favorites from the year of 2021 laid out in front of me. I've got so many amazing products and I cannot wait to put them all together and come up with one makeup look so you can see what they look like on my face. So if you're curious to see how this turns out, then just continue watching. Okay, so starting off with primer, I've got this one right here. This is the VIEVE Skin Nova Instant Radiance Primer. So I'm going to take about a pump and a half of that. This is what the texture looks like, so I'm going to massage that between my fingers. And I'm going to massage that all over my face. This primer is so interesting because you first look at it and think it might be a gel, but actually as you massage it in, it kind of melts down to almost kind of like a serum oil hybrid. It is so pretty and hydrating and it gives you the softest glow. So to add a little bit more glow underneath my foundation, I'm taking my VIEVE Skin Dew Glow Multitasker. I'm taking a tiny bit on the tip of my finger. That's what the texture looks like. I'm massaging that between my fingertips. And I'm going to start placing that on the upper parts of my cheekbones. Above the brow. The Cupid's bow. And the bridge of the nose. So moving on to complexion, I've got these two products that I talked about in my yearly favorites. Funnily enough, these both made it into my 2020 yearly favorites as well, so I've loved them for such a long time. The first one is the Nars Pure Radiant Tinted Moisturizer, and the shade that I have here is Light to Alaska. I've actually gone through so many bottles of this, but I've also used the shade Light 3 Greenland and Medium 1 St. Moritz as well. And then this product right here is the Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue Medium to Full Coverage Foundation in 115 Light Medium. I love this foundation so much. It is such a good foundation, so if you haven't tried it already, you definitely should. But I also own the shades 118 Light Medium and 119 Light Medium as well. So I reckon today let's use the Dose of Colors foundation. So I'm going to take about a pump and a half on the back of my hand. And then to apply that to the skin, I'm taking my Zoeva 104 buffer brush and I'm taking that straight into the foundation. And I'm going to apply that straight onto my skin. I love this foundation so much. It just looks so smooth and even and it wears such a long time. It's got medium to full coverage and I find that for a medium to full coverage foundation, it pretty much feels like nothing. I would say that the shade's slightly darkened, so I started off with 119 Light Medium, but I think 115 Light Medium is my perfect shade. So moving on to the under eyes, I mentioned 3 different concealers. I actually have all 3 of these concealers in so many different shades. So I have the Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer, the Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue Concealer, and the Tarte Shape Tape Contour Concealer as well. So I think today let's go in with the Tarte. So as you can see, it's got a doe foot applicator. So I'm going to go right ahead and pop some on the inner half of my eye, my outer corner, center of the forehead, bridge of the nose, and around the chin. And then to blend that out, I'm taking another one of my yearly favorites. This is the Spectrum and Katie Jane Hughes brush set. And I'm taking this brush right here, which is the Spectrum and Katie Jane Hughes number 6 brush. And I'm going to start blending out the concealer. And then to conceal any further blemishes on the face, I have my favorite face concealer. This is the Nars Soft Matte Complete Concealer and I have Custard Medium 1 and Macadamia Medium 1.5. I think today let's use Medium 1.5 on my face. So I'm taking a little bit of that on the tip of my finger. And I'm going to start concealing around my face. So to start setting the under eyes, I've got one of my favorite combos to use. I've got the Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder and the Laura Mercier Velour Puff. This combo is the most smoothest under eye you'll ever have, and I highly suggest if you've never tried a velour puff, definitely try this one from Laura Mercier. So what I like to do is I take the velour puff into whatever's left in the lid. Then I fold the puff in half and I start working that powder into the puff. And then I wrap the puff around my finger and I start pressing that into the skin. So you can see the before and after how much more smooth the under eye with the powder is. I'm also taking that powder between my brows, down my nose, and around the mouth as well. And then to set the rest of the face, I'm taking this powder here from Tarte. This is the Tarte Shape Tape Pressed Powder in the shade 29S Light Medium Sand. And then to apply that, I'm taking this brush right here, which is the Spectrum and Katie Jane Hughes No. 1 brush, and tapping straight into the powder. And I'm going to start setting my face. So for contour and bronzer, I mentioned 3 different options. In this hand, I've got the Benefit Hoola Bronzer and the Chantecaille La Serena Bronzer Highlighter Duo, which was limited edition, but you can buy the bronzer on its own. And then in this hand, I've got the VIEVE Modern Bronzer in the shades Light, Medium, Tan, and Deep. I think today let's go right ahead and use the VIEVE. So today I'm taking the shade Medium and I'm grabbing my Spectrum and Katie Jane Hughes No. 5 brush and I'm tapping into the slightly cooler shade. And I'm going to start contouring my cheeks. I'm also placing that around the forehead. Around the jawline. And down the center of the nose. And then taking the same brush but into the lighter shade. I'm going to start bronzing up my cheeks. Same with the forehead and the nose. And then for highlighter, I've got 2 different options that I mentioned. I've got the Dose of Colors Desi X Katie highlighter in the shade Fuego, which is unfortunately now discontinued, and the VIEVE Nova Glow highlighter in the shades Bijou and Holy Chic. I think today, because you can get them, let's use the VIEVE. So today I'm taking the shade Holy Chic on my Spectrum and Katie Jane Hughes No. 8 brush, and I'm tapping into the highlight. And I'm going to start highlighting my cheekbone. I'm also taking it above the brow, the Cupid's bow, and the bridge of the nose. So for blush, I've got 3 different options that I loved throughout the year of 2021. I've got the Bare Minerals Gen Nude Blush in the shade Pink Me Up and the Smashbox Crush on Blush palette. I loved both of these throughout the whole entire year, but unfortunately you can't buy the Smashbox palette anymore. But the most recent favorites have actually come from VIEVE again. These are the Sunset blushes and I've got the shades Pesca, Cherub, and Sorbet. So I think today I'm going to take the VIEVE Sunset blush in the shade Sorbet. So to apply that, I'm taking my Spectrum and Katie Jane Hughes No. 3 brush, tapping straight into the blush. And I'm going to start applying that to my cheeks. And I'm also taking that across the bridge of the nose as well. So I've zoomed you guys in so we can start on the eyes, but starting off with my favorite eyeshadow primer. This is the Nars Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base. I'm going to start applying that straight onto my eyelids. And I'm taking my finger to blend that out. So moving on to eyeshadow palettes, I had 5 different favorites this year. I had the Gemma Isabella Cosmetics Laverna eyeshadow palette, the VIEVE Essential palette, the VIEVE The Muse palette, the Dose of Colors Baked Browns palette, and the Dose of Colors Blushing Berries palette as well. So I think today let's use a little bit of a mixture of these and create an eye look. So I'm starting off with my VIEVE The Essential palette, which looks like this, and I'm grabbing my Spectrum and Katie Jane Hughes number 19 brush, and I'm tapping into Delicious. And I'm going to start popping that into my crease. Next, I'm grabbing my VIEVE The Muse palette, which looks like this, and my Spectrum and Katie Jane Hughes number 11 brush, and I'm tapping straight into the shade Source. And I'm going to start blending out that shade. I'm also going to start taking that shadow and kind of pulling it out a little bit. Next, grabbing the Dose of Colors Baked Browns palette, which looks like this, and the same brush, which is the number 11. I'm tapping into the second shadow here. And I'm going to further blend that up a little bit higher. Moving into the Dose of Colors Blushing Berries palette, which looks like this, and the Spectrum and Katie Jane Hughes number 17 brush. I'm tapping into the 4th shade here. And I'm really darkening that crease. Next, grabbing my Gemma Isabella Cosmetics Laverna eyeshadow palette and the Spectrum and Katie Jane Hughes number 20 brush. I'm tapping into the top shade called Softy. And I'm going to create a faux cut crease. So pretty much instead of using a concealer, I'm going to carve it out with a shadow. Next, from the same palette, I'm taking the Spectrum and Katie Jane Hughes number 18 brush and tapping into the shade Teddy Bear. I'm going to start running that on my lower lash line. And then going back into the Dose of Colors Baked Browns palette and the Spectrum and Katie Jane Hughes number 21 brush, I'm tapping into the 4th shade Over. And I'm going to darken up my lower lash line. To add a little bit of shimmer to the eyelid, I'm taking my Hourglass Scattered Light in the shade Reflect. Here is what the shade Reflect looks like. It is such a beautiful rose gold champagne. So I'm taking that on the Spectrum and Katie Jane Hughes number 15 brush, and I'm tapping straight into the shadow. And I'm patting that all over the eyelid. So next I'm taking my VIEVE Eye Wand in the shade Mahogany. And I'm going to start smudging that along the lash line, mainly focusing on the outer half and then drawing it up into a wing. So to help shape that, I'm taking my Spectrum and Katie Jane Hughes number 16 brush, and I'm going to start shaping that liner. Next, I'm taking my well-loved Stila Stay All Day Waterproof Liquid Eyeliner in the shade Intense Black, and I'm drawing a even smaller wing. So next I'm taking the VIEVE Eye Wand in the shade Hazelnut, and I'm popping that through the waterline. And then for mascara, my favorite mascara is still the Kevyn Aucoin, the curling and the volumizing mascara. I think today let's go in with the curling. And then for lashes, I mentioned these two styles of lashes. I've got the Gemma Isabella Cosmetics Main Bay lashes and the VIEVE half lashes in the style HL3 Whisper. I think today let's go in with the VIEVE. So let's do a before and after. So here are the eyes without the lashes. And then here are the eyes with the lashes on. These are such a beautiful set of lashes. Once again, they are the VIEVE HL3 in Whisper. So next I'm going to start filling in my brows. I'm going to start off with my Tarte Amazonian Clay Waterproof Brow Pencil in the shade Rich Brown. And I'm going to start filling in my brows. And then I'm going to take the tiniest bit of my Benefit Gimme Brow, this is the older packaging in the shade Medium Deep, and pop that through my brows. And then moving on to lips, starting off with some lip liner, I mentioned two different formulas. I've got the Dose of Colors lip liners in Escape and Overdrawn, and I've got the VIEVE Modern Lip Definers in Brat, Bark, and Muse. So I think today let's use the Dose of Colors in the shade Escape. So I'm taking the Dose of Colors lip liner in the shade Escape, and I'm going to go right ahead and start lining my lips. And then to fill that in, I mentioned my VIEVE Modern Matte Lipsticks. I have the shades VIEVE, Treasure, and Muse. I think today I want to use this shade here called Treasure. So I'm going to go right ahead and start filling in my lips. And then I'm using my finger to blend that out. And then to finish off the lip, I'm taking my VIEVE Lip Dew Glossy Lip Oil. I'm taking that straight onto my finger. And I'm going to pop that in the center of the lip. So the last thing we have to do is set our face. So I mentioned two different setting sprays. The first one is the Urban Decay and Macadamia All Nighter Setting Spray in the scent Summer Solstice. And the other one is the Tarte Stay Spray Setting Spray. So I think today let's go in with the Tarte. So I'm going to start by shaking up the bottle. And I'm going to set my face. So yeah guys, this is it for my full face of 2021 yearly favorites. I had so much fun sitting down and filming this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the final look, and I want you guys to let me know down below in the comments what some of your 2021 yearly favorites were, and if I haven't tried them already, I will check them out. But I hope this video was somewhat helpful for you guys. If it was, then you guys know what to do. Please feel free to leave me a like, comment and leave any requests that you have down below in the comment bar. Subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell and drag it all the way down to all to become a part of this family and be notified of all my future videos. And I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys. And I'm taking a tiny, oh damn it. You can see it's so smoothing, so evening. Oh, itchy nose, itchy nose, itchy nose, itchy nose. Oh my god. Orange cheesecake. What? Wow.